This is the FIA World Touring Car Championship, and this year's racing is going to be really hot.
Finalmente ci siamo, parte il campionato del mondo.
Välkommen till VM-serien i Touring Cars. Det här kommer bli en bra säsong med väldigt täta fighter, det kan jag garantera.
Attaccatevi in scia, il campionato del mondo turismo sta partendo.
Herzlich willkommen bei der Tourenwagen-Weltmeisterschaft. Ich hoffe, Sie sind die ganze Saison live dabei.
Bem-vindos ao Campeonato Mundial de Superturismo 2005. Venham comigo torcer pelo Brasil.
Bienvenidos al Campeonato del Mundo de Turismos, el más emocionante que podrán encontrar en televisión.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines for the World Touring Car Championship.
Hej, välkommen till VM-serien WTCC på Monza. Jag heter Rickard Rydell och nu ska ni få hänga med ett varv runt banan.
Rickard Rydell, the Seat driver, offering his welcome to Monza, and he will be our guide around the track. Jaime Puig is the tall figure there of the competition boss of Seat Sport, and of course the Toledos winning their first race last year, now looking like real championship hopefuls. On the long front straight then, a kilometre here, 6 gear, 235 kilometres an hour top speed, down to the slowest part of the circuit, bar none, the very tight first chicane. Well, the Goodyear chicane, 55 kilometres an hour, just over 30 miles an hour, and in the wet conditions of practice and qualifying, very easy to spin the wheels, very easy to outbrake yourself. Now, through the long Curva Grande, you can run wheel-to-wheel through here if you are very brave indeed, over 220 kilometres an hour, not quite reaching 6th gear before they get down into the Rivazza. Another first gear chicane, or second gear if it's wet, 77 kilometres an hour, so just a little over 45 miles an hour. And now the high-speed element of Monza starts to begin, hurtling up towards the first of the two Lesmos. This is quite a sharp corner, as anybody who's played it on a racing simulator will know. It's the second Lesmo that is quicker and very much more important indeed. Staying in third gear, particularly in the rain, and avoiding using too much curb because white paint is like sheet ice, and then accelerating through the famous forests of the Royal Park at Monza, 4th, 5th, and in some gearings snatching 6th up under the bridge before you get to the Variante Ascari, named after the great racer Alberto Ascari. Another third gear corner, and these chicanes breaking up the high-speed slipstreaming effect of Monza, but there are still plenty of straights on which to do it. Once more onto the Rettilineo, the straight, and another near kilometre drag. This is behind the pits, inside the old banking, down towards the Parabolica. Just touching the rev limiter in 5th gear, down into 4th, then 3rd for the Parabolica, taking a wide entry and trying to flatten out the early section, holding a midline and not running out towards the white line too early on the exit, or you'll find yourself in the gravel as you head on to the kilometre-long straight. Raining for the Monza Saturday morning, no track action on Friday because of the funeral of Pope John Paul II. The qualifying held on Saturday afternoon in dry conditions, very cold indeed. Track temperatures, tyre temperatures, very hard to come by. Jörg Müller going out very early and setting a quick time. Many teammates, Antonio Garcia here trying to turn around Alex Zanardi, working as pairs. Right behind though, you saw Andy Priaulx, the reigning European Touring Car champion, trying to get a toe off somebody, anybody. He has no teammate. Dr. Mario Tyson watching in the BMW garage. Augusto Farfus under the watchful eye of his team boss, Monica Sips. Well, the Alfa Romeos Expected to be very powerful here. You really need a rocket sledge at this Monza track, but incredibly the fastest car at the speed trap at the line was Andy Priaulx's BMW, ahead of Alex Zanardi and Antonio Garcia. Dirk Muller then going on top right towards the end. A red flag would stop the session, and it would be Dirk Muller who claimed his first ever World Championship pole position. He's never raced in a World Championship of any kind before. Starting on the front row, also Antonio Garcia ahead of the second row, which was all red. British Touring Car champion James Thompson driving his first race for Alfa Romeo in 9th place. Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Monza for the first of 20 races in the 2005 World Touring Car Championship. Eduardo de Freitas waves off the grid in front of packed grandstands here at the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. 2 races this afternoon for the first of 10 race weekends in this brand new World Touring Car Championship format. Good afternoon, I'm Martin Haven. Alongside me is our hero of speed, David Leslie, the man who makes sense of all the options that the teams have on their plate today. David Leslie, BMW a little bit surprised, as much as Alfa Romeo and us, that they were fastest in qualifying in yesterday's cold, damp session. But today the temperature's a little higher, maybe some 15 degrees more track temperature, even though Monza is still a pretty frigid place. Expect to see the Reds wedge back on form in race trim?
I definitely think so. The Alfa Romeos, they said they were disappointed that they weren't on the front row. We, along with everybody else who expect them to be there, they were expecting to be there. They're not quite sure why they're not. BMW said, well, we'll take it anyway, thank you very much. We'll have the front row with, which one is it, Dirk Muller and Garcia on the front row, so they're there. But these red cars, these Alfa Romeos, they are very quick in a straight line. They always have been. This is a power circuit. This is all about having power, all about having grunt. So you got the BMWs and Alfa Romeos up front, you've got the Seats following on in behind that, and then immediately after that you've got quite a variation of cars going all the way back towards the back of the grid. You've got some of the new cars arriving here this year, the Chevrolets and the Ford Focus. Very big grid, 33 starters, and 33 cars going into that first corner is going to be extremely exciting indeed.
Certainly is, and the critical thing here for every single one of those drivers will be to score points, because with the close scoring system that they use here, it will be very difficult indeed to catch a rival who has a successful weekend if you fail to score points. Well, the best non-Big Three car, by which we mean non-BMW, non-Alfa Romeo, non-Seat, that is Roberto Colciago, starting in 11th place. He is in a Honda Accord. It's not officially backed by the Honda factory, built by Yas Motorsport, the Italian team that for so many years have been building Hondas for racing and for customers. But it is likely to be BMW and Alfa Romeo here. Seat willingly will volunteer the information that they are still short on horsepower against the big two. And even BMW, I think, aren't entirely convinced that they've managed to catch horsepower stakes leaders Alfa Romeo completely here. On-board camera with the number 3 car, James Thompson, double British Touring Car champion, won it in 2002 and 2004, first time as a factory driver for the full season with Alfa Romeo. The headlight bumper cam you saw, that was of Andy Priaulx, our reigning European Touring Car champion, and the man who hopes to convert his European win into a world win. Ricard Rydell, he's the best placed of the Seats, and he will start in 9th position, the factory Seat Toledo trio. He, Marc Genet, and newcomer from Germany, Peter Terting, 20-year-old youngster from the German Production Saloon Car Championship. And the grid bolstered this year by 2 brand new Ford Focuses, by a trio of factory Chevy Lachettis, as well as more Hondas and more privateer Alfa Romeos and Seats as well. We expect to see Peugeot later in the season with a new 407 that's being developed in France, and that's going to be a bigger car than most that you see on the grid at the moment. But the new Alfa Romeo that comes next year will also be a bigger car. And of course BMW with their formidable 3 Series up against Alfa Romeo's equally exciting and aggressive 156. Pole sitter is Dirk Muller, Antonio Garcia alongside in another BMW, then Gabriele Tarquini, who 2 years ago was the European champion, and Augusto Farfus Jr., who won here at Monza last year. Dr. Mario Tyson, with many, many thousands, if not millions, watching with anticipation this first of a new breed of World Touring Car Championships. Of course, Roberto Ravaglia won for BMW the first ever World Touring Car Championship in 1987. He runs Antonio Garcia's car and that of Alex Zanardi for BMW Italia, Spain. But all eyes are on the starter. Eduardo de Freitas will flick the switch, and when they get the lights off, away they go. Pole sitter is Dirk Muller. Good start from Garcia. Tarquini looking to move in. Andy Priaulx as well, very quickly away. And behind the two Alphas are Fabrizio Giovanardi and James Thompson. And there is the view from the bumper cam of Andy Priaulx. He's behind one of the Alphas in the queue down to the first corner, and that'll be Augusto Farfus Jr. Tarquini's into second, gets a little nudge on Dirk Muller, the pole sitter, and from Antonio Garcia, whose car shattered a brake disc in the morning warm-up there. And Andy Priaulx, well, he was hoping to avoid trouble on the first lap. He's been pushed back a couple of places, but he's still going, the reigning European Touring Car champion. And Augusto Farfus coming around the outside of Gabriele Tarquini. Tarquini a little wrong-footed coming out of the chicane after that clash with Garcia, and Farfus moves up into third. The young Brazilian built a reputation last year for speed and fragility of mind. He clashed with his teammates and his rivals on a number of occasions, and he's certainly going to be one that everybody will be watching with very great interest. Behind them, the best of the Seats, Ricard Rydell and Jordi Hane. And it looked like Hane got away quicker from the grid to go up ahead of Andy Priaulx. So it's Dirk Muller who leads this opening lap. He was thrilled yesterday, David, to get pole position in his first ever World Championship race of any kind and his first World Touring Car outing. And he looks determined to make the best of it. But already Antonio Garcia showing great form, and Andy Priaulx taking that position back. It's from Ricard Rydell, in fact. Seats so far only European Touring Car race winner and a former British Touring Car champion as well. So the BMWs, the Alphas and the Seats in race trim looking to be pretty close to each other.
Very much so. The BMW are just so pleased to be out there. But here we've got an in-car camera from Rydell looking at Priaulx. Priaulx just making sure he's keeping him behind, doesn't let him come down the inside. But Priaulx now needs to move away from this group and try and catch the four people in front of him. And there's some...
Oh, it's breaking loose behind. That was Thompson and Rydell, the Seat of Thompson and Rydell and Thompson in the Alpha. But further behind them, more carnage. The number 15 car, the onboard camera with the Ford of Thomas Jaeger, one of the new shaped Ford Focuses. Yellow flags at the first corner. Well, that's for something that we didn't see. Who's being dragged away from there? Let's pan down with the camera. No, we can't quite see it. It must have been one of the tail enders. There is Gabriele Tarquini. Let's have a look here. Well, there's Thompson and Rydell. Let's see who tangles further back. It's Priaulx who's... that's Jörg Muller. Jörg Muller, who qualified second but lost his early qualifying times, including his fast lap, for failing to spot a light that makes you go into the weighbridge when you come into the pit lane. It's a random thing, and he missed that, lost his fast time. Thompson right up behind Rydell, tapping him there into the Roggia. But it's still Dirk Muller from Antonio Garcia. Then the two Alfa Romeos, Farfus leading Tarquini, and that was Giovanardi coming by inside Thompson. So James Thompson being eased to the back of the Alfa Romeo pack. Well, David Leslie, the Alfa Romeos normally and the Seats don't get away quite as quickly as the BMWs, but it looks like they've made strides there. That was Stefano D'Aste's car smoking after a collision off the grid. So maybe it was him that went off in the first corner.
It could be, whatever it is, it's long gone out of the way, and the race carries on. But very, very frantic up front, these Alfa Romeos now. Thompson slipped back behind Giovanardi. He got him off the line. He was ahead of him, and it looked very comfortable with the car between them. But Giovanardi's obviously got the bit between his teeth, and he wants to be up there along with the rest of them. So you've got these two BMWs in front, two Alfa Romeos, then you've got Andy Priaulx, then you've got the first of the Seats, then another two of the Alfa Romeos. So Alfa Romeos, all four cars right up there. And they just wanted to get as many points in the bag as possible towards the beginning of this season. The
BMW Italia Spain car that Garcia drives last year would rarely have been in this position. This year they're much more confident. There's Ricard Rydell versus Fabrizio Giovanardi. Gio with Tarquini behind him. Giovanardi won 8 titles in 8 years for Alfa Romeo before moving to BMW in 2003. Winless that year as the champion, winless bar once last year in 2004. He's won 1 race in 2 years. Fabrizio Giovanardi really needs to make up some ground. Roberto Colciago's Honda Accord is going backwards, and he's also been shown the black and white flag, which means we don't like your driving, cut it out or you'll be in the pits for a stiff word. Dirk Muller still leads. Jörg's car is in the gravel. Now, he must get back out on track. He can't afford to lose both races, David. Of course, the top 8 in each race, or in each first race, their positions are reversed for the grid of the second race. So 8th becomes first, first becomes 8th. But beyond that, where you finish is where you start race 2. So Jörg Muller has got to somehow get out and try and at least start race 2.
Yeah, if he can get himself out onto the circuit and go running around, if anyone else breaks down and he finishes, then he will pick up those positions and he won't start dead last on the second race. At this moment in time, sitting in that pits there, I would say he's on for being last at this moment in time. But the Schnitzer boys working on the car, they know what they're looking for, and they'll be trying to sort that out as quickly as possible. Looking at this, we can see that Andy Priaulx seems to be pulling away just that little bit from the 2 Alphas behind, so he's very much the man on his own. He's in 5th place at this moment in time.
Farfus inside Garcia, David into Parabolica. Sorry about that, he's pushing the Spaniard out wide, and Antonio just about holding on to that one, but he'll lose so much speed, and he's even going further out on the grass. It's very, very slushy. The crowd in front of us in the grandstands are going absolutely mental as the Alphas come through 2nd and 3rd, but the reigning European champion behind the man he deposed. Now here's Farfus, gets inside in the Parabolica and runs out wide. Well, the problem there, I think, is that Garcia allowed him inside in the Parabolica, and there lies real disaster for him. He got onto the grass and just could not get off it. Kept his hoof in, but Priaulx got by. So too did Giovanardi. So it looks like Garcia is now between Giovanardi and Thompson on the road, and that will put him down in 7th place.
And what's good about this is that we see Andy's managed to pick his places up. He got himself away from the group behind and trying to catch the group in front, so he's now in a good 4th place. We spoke to him earlier on today, and he was saying what he's looking for is a good points finish. He is the current European champion. He's the sort of man that everyone's got an aim to or target for, and he knows he needs to keep his nose clean, make sure he just goes out and scores good points this weekend, and he's looking forward to trying scoring good points in both races. He doesn't want to be involved in any incidents, he doesn't want any damage to the car, and he can certainly, he is quick with a bit of a toe. He knows he can be right with the Alfa Romeos, and he's just far enough back, he just can't quite hook onto the back of the Alphas at this moment in time, but he is certainly quick around the corners.
Just set his fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 59.553. Dirk Muller, the race leader, set the fastest lap of the race on lap 3, 1:59.552. 1/1000th of a second separating the speed of the 1st and 4th place BMWs, and they were both 0.6 to 0.7 of a second quicker on that lap alone than the 2 Alfa Romeos. Now, in qualifying, the conditions were too cold. Alfa Romeo's cars struggling for front-end grip. The front-drive Alfas versus the rear-drive BMWs. Alfas must get the heat into their tyres in the race, and again, Tarquini lining up from Priaulx's viewpoint. We can see him pulling out of the slipstream of Farfus to try and make a move down into the chicane for the first time, or the first chicane for the 4th time, and through he goes. Gabriele Tarquini, former British and Italian and European touring car champion, puts the move on his ex-Formula 3000 driving teammate Augusto Farfus Jr., and Priaulx is right with them. 4 laps completed. Andy Priaulx, the reigning European champion, closing in on the battle for 2nd. We'll be back with more in just a second. 5 laps completed halfway through the first World Touring Car Championship race of 2005, led by poleman Dirk Muller. Gabriele Tarquini, the 2003 European champion, in 2nd. Augusto Farfus Jr., winner here at Monza in both races last year, in 3rd. And Andy Priaulx, the reigning European Touring Car champion, closing in 4th place. But the BMW driver in the BMW UK car, BMW Great Britain renames BMW UK on the 1st of April this year, after many, many years as trading and racing as BMW GB Limited. So BMW UK it is, with the familiar colours of the Union flag on the car of Andy Priaulx, run by Belgian Bart Mampé and his tiny close-knit team, engineered by Sam Wace. Andy Priaulx closing in now, still lapping 1:59s. The 2 Alphas at a 2-minute lap, 2:00.00 seconds, and still Dirk Muller, fastest man on the track, starting to ease away a little bit more. But 5 laps in, the pace is dropping a fraction. The tyres given of their best. and the stewards being very busy. About half a dozen drivers are being warned about their driving conduct here. Thomas Klenker pulling off the brand new shape Ford Focus and into retirement seemingly at the end of its first World Touring Car outing, and indeed his. Of course, everybody here in a new format in the World Touring Car Championship, David, but there are a host of new cars, and with those, of course, come new car problems. But look at the Seats now, bunched up behind the BMWs and the Alphas. 1, 2, 3, line astern, the factory Seat outfit. Rickard Rydell, the Swede, Harry Hane, the Spaniard, and the newcomer in the team, Peter Terting, in 8th, 9th and 10th places, but right behind James Thompson, Antonio Garcia and Fabrizio Giovanardi. And of course, the top 8 on the grid are reversed. So the person in 8th place, in this instance Rydell, will start from pole position, but the guys who are right behind him now might be a centimetre behind at the line. But if you're 9th, you start 9th on the grid. So there's a real fight to get into the top 8, and you can see the Alphas right in front as we ride on board with the onboard camera in the Seat. And Priaulx making his move now for 3rd place on Farfus, as I fit my new teeth and try and remember what words come in the English language. Well, he's got the run through on the inside of Curva Grande, but Farfus holding the inside line there into the chicane at the Roggia. And it's dry enough now, David, that they can hold on there and hold that inside line. It's so wet yesterday, but today, very different conditions, and Alfa Romeo back to their best.
Yeah, very much so. Yesterday when it was damp and the qualifying, it was actually a dry or nearly dry circuit. There was quite a lot of the bits of the circuit which still had little damp patches on it. It made life very difficult for a lot of the people for qualifying, and as we said earlier, Alfa Romeo were very disappointed they weren't on the front row. They were expecting very much to be there, as everyone else expected them to be there, but I think the cold conditions rather caught them by surprise, and they weren't actually on the front row. But they're right up there now. They're 2nd and 3rd place, but Andy Priaulx, who didn't have as good a qualifying as he'd hoped, because he didn't have a toe during qualifying. With these big long straights, if you have a good toe with somebody behind, you can gain up to a second a lap. Now, he had no one to work with because he doesn't have a teammate. All these other Alfa Romeos, they work together, all 4 of them. The BMWs work together, the 2 Mullers, Dirk and Jörg Muller work together.
Dirk Muller from pole position, easing away to the extent of 2.5 seconds now over 2nd placed Alfa Romeo driver Gabriele Tarquini. This is Priaulx's viewpoint of Tarquini and Farfus. There is Rydell still hard at it, hammer and tongs with Hane, and they are right in the long train, held up by Antonio Garcia. Garcia in 5th place now, 7.3 seconds behind the leader and 4 seconds behind Andy Priaulx. Garcia in his BMW, then Giovanardi, then Thompson, then Rydell, Hane, Terting and Zanardi on their tail as well. So from 5th down to 11th is the following pack, really. The leader is on his own. This is the chasing trio with Priaulx on the tail of Farfus at the moment, and looking as though he's ready to make a move on the Brazilian. Not between the 2 Lesmos. It's very enticing, but there's just not enough distance out of Lesmo 2 on the long run down to the Ascari chicane. That presents more of an overtaking opportunity, but it seems the Alphas are pretty good on the brakes now. The temperatures have started to come up in the track and therefore in their tyres. So Priaulx will have to play it a little bit craftily here. The European champion. Well, there is Alain Menu, who's Chevy Lachetti you're looking at for the first time as a racing car. And Menu, former British Touring Car champion, been racing in a DTM the last 2 seasons with the splitter dragging on the ground. That car was heavily crashed in the closing stages of qualifying. Indeed, it caused a red flag that ended the qualifying session. Right behind him, Alex Zanardi, and right behind Zanardi is one of the new Hondas. That's Di Michele, the Italian production saloon car champion. Matteo Di Michele, and he is well, he had a crash during practice as well. Adriano Di Michele. Here's Alain Menu's onboard camera. We can look up at him. You can see the sequential gear shift, not a normal stick shift H pattern. Just pull back to change up the gears, push forward, and that little bicycle brake lever, that's to engage reverse. Andy Priaulx again looking at Farfus down into the first chicane, and the Brazilian, David, all over the road, middle of the road, defending heavily, way off the normal racing line, really feeling the pressure.
Without Andy's crawling all over the back of him. He's trying his best to get through. He's only got this lap to do it, and we're now on the last lap of the race already. And you know, Andy's trying every which way. He's trying to look to the right, look to the left, and he's just making Farfus as nervous as possible inside that car. And if he can just get him to be a little bit more nervous, just make one little mistake somewhere on the back of this circuit, then he will just nip through and take that place, and he'll have a third instead of a fourth. But as we said at the beginning, you know, Andy would have taken a fourth any time.
Priaulx, the only man lapping under 2 minutes around this track. 1 minute 59.96, just a whisker quicker than 2 minutes, but even Dirk Muller has settled down into a 2-minute 00 second lap. Same as Tarquini, same as Farfus, and Priaulx still trying to find a way past. Last lap, dramatics, I think he will avoid. If there is a gap, he'll take it, but he won't try and shoulder charge his way through. Race one, job one, get points on the board. He does not want to have the disastrous champions defence of getting no points to start the season. The Michael Schumacher year he could really live without. Dirk Muller leads. Gabriele Tarquini showing good pace in second. Farfus defending hard. He led from the front last year, Augusto Farfus, but the Alfa Romeo not the rocket sledge in comparison to everyone else that it was at the start of 2004. The BMWs have got the power pegs that they need, and as they come to the checkered flag, it'll be the pole sitter who leads, having never been challenged to the flag. Dirk Muller wins it. Tarquini in second, Farfus in third, Priaulx up to fourth place. That'll please him. Garcia fifth from second on the grid will be disappointed. Giovanardi and Thompson in their Alphas sixth and seventh. Rydell eighth place will be on pole for race two. Hanay, his teammate, ninth. Zanardi 10th. Turting 11th, Colciago's independent Honda in 12th place, and Mark Henrici from Germany in 13th position. A good run from him in a privately run BMW. But Dirk Muller with Dr. Mario Tyson on the right-hand side there in the Schnitzer garage, celebrating another win. He won 3 races last year and lost the championship on the tie-break to Andy Priaulx, who tied him on points in the very last race of 20, but had won 5 of the counters during the season. And so Dirk Muller lost out just on the tie-break to Andy Priaulx. But the podium then with 1 BMW and 2 Alfa Romeos, and that's a good result for the Bavarian Mark here in Monza. Last year you would have expected, and the year before, to have had 3 Alfa Romeos on the podium at the Monza Speedrome.
I'm really excited at the moment. I mean, to be on pole yesterday and to finish the first race on the first position, to win it is amazing, and I'm really happy. We worked quite hard over the whole winter time to improve also, you know, E46 for the last championship, and I mean, for me it's great, really great to win it.
It's been a pretty great weekend, pretty perfect, I'd say, for you. Does this make it all the more perfect because last year you were so disappointed coming so close to the European Championship?
I mean, we had a couple of test days over here, and I left the last test with a brilliant car, and we didn't touch it. And yesterday in qualifying, when it was dry for the first time, it was still perfect. And I mean, I have to say congratulations to my team. They gave me a brilliant car, and I was lucky in the first couple of laps to escape from the slipstreaming. And then towards the end, it was just controlling the field, and I'm really happy.
Thank you.
Not much more you can say, really. Delighted to have started on pole and delighted to have kept his head and done exactly what he had hoped he'd be able to do, lead the race to the checkered flag. So 9 laps only around this track, but enough for Dirk Muller to stamp his authority.
Gabriele Tarquini, well, for the first race of the World Touring Car Championship, was Dirk Muller untouchable, and how was it for you?
Yeah, I think it was uncatchable for everybody, especially for me, because he was alone without any slipstream, and he was able to finish first without any problem controlling the race. So for us, it will be also our job.
Thank you.
Well, Gabriele Tarquini managed to get past his teammate Augusto Farfus, and Tarquini 6th on the grid, 6 passes in the morning warm-up rather, and in 4th place on the grid. That's a good result for him, up into 2nd place.
Augusto Farfus Jr., so it was quite an eventful race for you. Can you tell us a little bit what happened at the beginning with Antonio Garcia and how you got up to 3rd place?
You know, at the beginning it was pretty hard to be on the slipstream of Garcia, and then I think he did a little mistake in Ascari corner, and then I got his slipstream, and then in the end of the last straight, I was inside, overtook him, and I didn't touch him. It was a quite tight overtake, but was pretty good, pretty nice. I don't know what happened with him, but then it was turf, and that was all.
Thank you.
So the first World Touring Car Championship podium, Dirk Müller on top, but of course Alfa Romeo giving him very close company with Tarquini and Farfus second and third. And Dirk's wife delighted with that result, as he was himself. Mark Enrici, top independent in his privately run BMW. What will race 2 bring? Seat will lead from Alfa Romeo and BMW. Watch the BMWs pull out and come past the front-wheel drive cars as they start. Away we go. Good start from Riedel. Yellow flags already. A stall, and that was Fabrizio Giovanardi. He has not moved at all. I don't think he stalled. Something, yes, he has moved now. I was going to say something's broken. It took a long time to restart. He gets away just ahead of the safety car and Välimäkelä. Riedel leads. Tomo in the middle. Here comes Priaulx around the outside, and he's being brave. Going to have to take to the curbs, and that'll slow him right down. Garcia's coming alongside him, and there's Dirk Müller. So BMW's already ready to gang up on the Seat that leads, and the sole Alfa Romeo between them and glory. Wow, that was dramatic first corner stuff, and that was just the top 5. Never mind the midfielders. Priaulx with Dirk Müller around side. He'll have to give best into the Roggia, but the problem is that Priaulx is going to have Gabriele Tarquini gone. Tarquini's gone there. In fact, that's Farfus. Tarquini is next up, and Tomo takes the lead. James Thompson goes by Rickard Riedel, under-braking for the Roggia. It's Thompson that leads for Alfa Romeo. Riedel second. Third place is Garcia. Great starting from him. Fourth place is confusion further back through the Roggia. A bit of bumping and boring, and that is Tom Coronel coming through. Where is Jörg Müller? That was Jörg Müller, in fact, coming through. Tom Coronel no longer in the BMW Martin. Reset your head for 2005. Jörg Müller making fantastic progress up through the field already, but still, look at the stream of cars. That's one of the privateer Alphas. That is Andrea Lorini's car, in fact, going off there and coming back on through the gravel. And Müller going well, but unfortunately the bright blue colours of Chevrolet marking them out down towards the back of the field. Dirk Müller, this is Andy Priaulx's bumper cam, just a little bit further behind. He's down into 6th position already, really did get shuffled down the pack. Zanardi, Kosciuszko, Peter Terting, Mark Enrici, the top independent in race 1. Look at that, 4 and 5 abreast coming out of the Ascari chicane. Goodness gracious, and it's only lap 1.
Yeah, these guys really are pushing very, very hard at the moment. I don't know what happened to Andy. He made a good start. He went into that first corner a little bit quick, got himself over the curbs, and had to drop down to 4th.
They're coming across the line, 4 and 5 abreast in the midfield. It's absolutely astonishing. The crowd roaring on the Alphas, but there is so much more going on as well. There's Giovanardi at the start, stationary. He's way at the back. No points for him from race 2, and Priaulx right down the inside of the number 3 machine, and that is the car of James Thompson. And that is a replay from the start then. Here is the start, as seen from the onboard camera of James Thompson. He's on the left. There goes Riedel. Let's watch this. Tucks in behind Riedel. Tries to cover the outside line. And Giovanardi gets going, but stalled it. Fabrizio Giovanardi, after all these years, still able to fluff a start, and a great start from Priaulx to come round Garcia. Back with the live action. Thompson still leads, and Riedel has let one of the BMWs through. That's bad news for Thompson. Garcia's got past Riedel. Riedel's in 3rd, Dirk Müller 4th, Farfus in 5th, Priaulx in 6th position, shows his nose to the Brazilian. Here he comes down behind the second of the BMWs, and Dirk Müller goes past Riedel. Writing's on the wall for the Seat. Riedel tapped into a spin. He's in the barriers. We saw that with Tarquini last year. There is no coming back from that. He's had a big impact. It'll have rubbished the right front corner, and that's a sad way for Rickard Riedel's Seat race to end. And James Thompson leads. Garcia 2nd, Dirk Müller 3rd. Farfus is in trouble. That is Tarquini coming around, and Priaulx's trying to take the inside line and hold off Tarquini as well. Farfus very slow onto the straight there after that contact, David. Well, Farfus marked himself as a man to be not trusted in traffic last year, with a number of collisions, not the least dramatic of which were with his own teammates. But here comes Garcia. He's got the speed to pull past Thompson. That's incredible. A BMW towing and passing Thompson in the straight line, but he can't hold it under braking. Tomo rock steady under attack. That's great defensive driving from the Alfa Romeo. Priaulx still pushing Farfus through the corner there. Here's the bumper cam with Andy Priaulx in what is now 5th place. place, chasing fourth, and there is Tarquini trying to come around the outside, and right behind him, Hodi Hane is the best of the Seats, then Alex Zanardi, Roberto Colciago leading the next pack, and Tarquini going the long way around Curva Grande. He's got him under acceleration before they get to the Roggia. Can Priaulx come back on the inside? No, the answer is he cannot do that. So Tarquini makes the move stick. Dirk Muller on his own, watching Garcia attack James Thompson. Wow, I thought race one was good.
Yeah, this is just non-stop, and Dirk Muller's done really well out of this, starting 8th on the grid, having won the first race. He's kept his nose out of the trouble when people are tripping up over each other. He's got himself up into 3rd, and he's just sitting there watching these two in front, because he knows how desperate Garcia is to have a good result. He didn't have a good result in the first race after having those problems, and Garcia is the one that's really putting the pressure onto Thompson at the moment. So if Muller just sits there and leaves him to it, and hopefully one of the two of them in front will make a bit of a mistake, and Muller will just pick that place up and say thank you very much, I'll take that. And I think before the end of this race, he's either going to be 2nd or 1st.
Well, do you know what? He is going quicker, certainly, than either of those two. Now, here is Ricard Rydell being spun out. He got into the corner, and Augusto Farfus Jr. had his nose inside the Seat. Rydell stood no chance there, David. But you can't really say that was deliberately punting him off. The contact was inevitable, but you have got to let these guys race. Tough on Ricard Rydell. I wouldn't be penalising Farfus for that, would you?
Farfus did exactly what he wanted. He got down the inside. He wasn't actually past him. All he was just on the rear corner. Now, he had the opportunity to back out of that and stop that accident from happening. He didn't. He just kept on going until the two cars touched. He was so far back, he wasn't even up to the A post to be able to say, at least I was alongside. He wasn't even alongside, he was only on the back corner. It depends upon the stewards of the meeting, what they want to say. But there you can see a very disgruntled Ricard Rydell now watching all those cars go past. Started on pole position, had a good position there, was looking for a good points finish. That's what he wanted from this first meeting.
So you say yes, a penalty for Farfus. You say he didn't have the right to be there. Well, there you go. That's the driver's eye view of it. Farfus is in the race, though, and Rydell is in the barriers.
888.com. What's your game? What makes Evian so special?
Moi je joue à joue contre joue. Je veux jouer à joue contre vous, mais vous, le voulez-vous?
The secret is in the Alps. Evian, Livian.
What's going on?
The Crazy Frog is back in town and on the run. Get this crazy sound and more in the Jamster clubs by texting Crazy 1 for the monos, Crazy 2 for the polys, or Crazy 3 for the real music sounds to 88888 and ride with the Frog each time you get a call.
This is Britain's most iconic and controversial rock star. This is a part-time college lecturer obsessed with making a film about Britain's most iconic and controversial rock star. The extraordinary true story of a rock and roll relationship that began on tape and ended in tears.
I set out to seduce Pete.
Stalking Pete Doherty, Tuesday at 10 on 4.
Late Night Sport on 4 is sponsored by 888.com.
All change here at Monza live for the World Touring Car Championship. James Thompson still leads. You remember that much, but behind him now Dirk Muller and two Alfa Romeos. They all got past Antonio Garcia. Garcia made an attempt at the Roggia on this lap to get past Tomo, couldn't hold it, and then the two Alfas got by him. Jörg Muller now right behind Andy Priaulx and Antonio Garcia, with Hane behind them and Zanardi. Everybody being held up by James Thompson. 9 cars in 2.5 seconds. There's barely room to fit another bodywork set in there. James Thompson leads in the inset in the pretend mirror. You can see Dirk Muller looking for win number 2 here at Monza, but right behind him are Augusto Farfus Jr. and Gabriele Tarquini. Then Antonio Garcia down to 5th from 2nd on this lap and challenging for the lead. And then Andy Priaulx, and then, incredibly, from 29th on the grid, Jörg Muller is now in 7th position. 29th to 7 in 5 laps. David Leslie, I'm not sure if that's not record progress, but it's got to be flipping close, and Thompson outbrakes himself and holds on. Thompson now, he's going to be wet, grassy tyres and off line and on the wrong gears. They won't be coming round either side because Dirk Muller is battling Farfus, while Farfus is going to find himself edged onto the grass and into retirement if he's not very careful here, because Dirk Muller is not going to be putting up with any rumbustious stuff. Farfus has got the inside line to the Roggia, and Garcia's got past Tarquini. Farfus back up into that 2nd position for the first time. Alphas 1 and 2. Well, Farfus, you put him to blame for punting off Ricard Rydell and Dirk Muller on the inside. It's only what Augusto Farfus did to Ricard Rydell. In fact, that was Tarquini. That was Tarquini, not Farfus. Now Farfus is chasing Garcia. So that was Gabriele on the outside of Dirk Muller. Well, let's have a look again. Well, Muller may be too far behind there. Gabriele Tarquini trying to go for the apex. He was in front, and Muller was not fully alongside him, but in the Lesmos, David, 2 into 1. That's a nightmare. Cars number 7 and 43, Augusto Farfus Jr., and 43 is Dirk Muller under investigation. Well, they don't mean Augusto Farfus, surely, because I didn't see him necessarily hit anybody, but Monica Sips there on the pit wall, and I have to say, in the gravel trap there, Gabriele Tarquini not best pleased with that. But still, James Thompson now with a lead. Last time across the line, it was 0.09, 900ths of a second that Tomo led by, and now Farfus goes off, puts himself in the gravel. He got a wheel on the white line, which is slippery, onto the grass, which is absolutely boggy as you like, and he has gone way out of the points. Dirk Muller 2nd, Garcia 3rd, Jörg Muller 4th, Andy Priaulx 5th. Don't know what's up with Priaulx's car. I don't know what Jörg Muller had in the 15-minute fix-it break, but I want 2 cups of that, because he is now on the tail of Dirk Muller, who started from 8th, and he started from 29th on the grid with Priaulx, chasing 3 BMWs, and that car, James Thompson's race-leading Alpha. From 0.09, he was 2.289 ahead after that last lap. He pulled out nearly 2 1/3 seconds on the battle behind him in that one lap, because it all got so fraught.
Yeah, James managed to give himself a nice little bit of a lead when they all sort of fell over at the first chicane. James outbraked himself and took himself straight across the grass and actually came out with a little bit of a lead. And then, because everybody else fell over each other, immediately behind that, and then you had to come together with the BMW and Tarquini. And I think that's what's happened on the screen that we looked at, where they said it was car 43 and...
Now they're saying 3, Thompson and 43 under investigation. Well, Thompson was on his own and surely had no part in that. You may think that commentators get it wrong, but really race control ought to get this kind of thing right.
But the race control are looking at all sorts of different incidents. They're probably looking at the incident with the Seat when it went off. They're looking at the incident when Tarquini went off. They're looking at the incident when Thompson straight-lined the chicane. There are certain rules and regulations for straight-lining chicanes, so all these things will be going on. They can impose penalties, immediate penalties, i.e. a drive-through penalty. They can impose time penalties on the actual race itself, and there's various different things. There's actually 3 different penalties they can impose during the race. So we're now going to wait and see what they're going to do as this race carries on.
James Thompson, race leader in round 2 of the World Touring Car Championship for Alfa Romeo, coming under threat from Dirk Muller, the race 1 winner who started 8th on the grid. Antonio Garcia in 3rd place. Jörg Muller from 29th on the grid in 4th position. Andy Priaulx and Jorge Gené battling for 5th. Priaulx holds the advantage over the Spaniard at the moment. It was the other way round at the line last time, but it looks as though the BMWs are slowly but surely reeling in the race leader again. On board with James Thompson. There's the external view. Dirk Muller right behind him as they come across the line. 0.01 of a second between them. Here comes Muller. He's going to have to go the long way round. Thompson is nothing if not a savvy driver. He knows when to roll his sleeves up, and he knows when to sit in the middle of the race track and make you go the long way round, the impossible way under braking. From the white line on the right-hand side, he just aims straight at the corner and makes his rival try and outbrake him around the outside and into that first corner, David. You can get around the outside, you can get level under braking, but it turns right so sharply, you've got to be ahead under braking to be able to make the move. And Thompson on the last lap, well, he's got to hold on here. Dirk Muller, one race one, and Thompson drops a wheel onto the gravel, and that may have cost him a little bit. This run down out of the Roccia into the Lesmos. No, the Alfa Romeo keeps its nose in front. Dr. Mario Tyson, and there on the left, Dirk Muller's wife, looking to see if they can get a second win from the man in the number 43 machine. But James Thompson may just be able to hold on here. The reigning British touring car champion might make Monica Sips smile a little bit more than she has been doing so far. It's not been a great race, this second one for Alfa Romeo. Giovinazzi stalled on the line. Farfus put himself in the gravel. Tarquini punted out of the race. Well, whichever way you look at it, he's not going to finish. But Dirk Muller now concerned with Antonio Garcia and Jörg Muller with Andy Priaulx as the BMWs line up to battle each other onto the podium. Down to the Parabolica for the final time. Priaulx's been passed by Jörg Muller, hoping to get him back, and Thompson is going to be left to win this race for Alfa Romeo as Dirk Muller fights to hold on to second, Jörg Muller fights to hold on to fourth, and Garcia and Priaulx try and unsettle them. BMW second, third, fourth and fifth. Seat in sixth position, but it's victory in race 2 of the World Touring Car Championship, his first World Championship weekend. James Thompson wins race 2 for Alfa Romeo. He was second on the grid, 7th in race 1, and Dirk Muller, the championship leader with a win and a second place, will take that. Thank you very much. But this is exactly what the British Touring Car Champion needed. Tomo winning a race, the only Alfa driver to do so in the first World Touring Car weekend. Tarquini unfortunately got tapped into retirement in the Lesmos. He had a great chance of winning the race as well. Got ahead of Thompson early on, but then got tangled with Dirk Muller. But David, we've seen Thompson put in gritty performances of the British Championship to win as he liked and to really hold off what looked like superior opposition as well. And that was one of the latter. That was clinging on to the lead with every ounce of his racing knowledge.
Yeah, he got himself in that lead. He had a little bit of a lead. The BMWs and everybody else caught him up, and he just hung on there. As you said, he knew how to make that car as wide as possible. He knew where to position it on the road. He made only one mistake during the race, and that was to cut the first chicane out. So he really hung on there very well indeed. He will be so happy turning in a win for Alfa Romeo in Italy at Monza. Exactly what Alfa Romeo wanted. There's so many Alfa Romeo fans around this place.
But Antonio Garcia might still end up with maximum points because both James Thompson and Dirk Muller are under investigation by the stewards. Thompson, because as you say, he missed out that chicane or cut the chicane, and right now he didn't make up any places, and that's the general ruling in Formula One. If you miss a chicane and make up a place, you're in trouble. In this championship or in the European series, we've seen drivers miss a chicane under braking, make up a place, and then wave the driver back by in front of them to avoid a penalty. Tomo was the leader. He didn't make anything up, but he and Dirk Muller under investigation, first and second. Post-race, the stewards decide that Thompson gained ground from missing the chicane under attack, and he will be 10 places further back than his qualifying position for the next 2 races at Magny-Cours. And that penalty also applied to Dirk Muller for an avoidable collision with Gabriele Tarquini. Race 1 of the New World Series, the stewards stamping down on infractions heavily indeed. So not only will Dirk Muller have 45 kilos of weight, but he and James Thompson will lose 10 qualifying places.
Fantastic race, well, certainly from where I was at anyway. I had a great race with Dirk. I mean, the first race was a little bit disappointing. Obviously, the second race, the reverse grids, I'm sort of reasonably familiar with that from the BTC last year and the ETC races that I did. And I thought, after the first race, okay, we'll take 7th place and we'll start second on the grid, and then we'll have a real push for that second race. But I wasn't expecting to see Dirk in the mirror so soon, and we had a fantastic race. culminating in with us both trying to outbrake each other into their first chicane. But yeah, it was fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, that move by Thompson cost him 10 places on the grid for the 2 races at Magny-Cours, but he is second in the championship. Dirk Muller with a 6-point advantage, but with 45 kilos of weight for the next race, Thompson will carry 35 kilos extra. And penalties too for Antonio Garcia and Andy Priaulx, 25 and 10 kilos respectively. But it's 2 wins for Muller and for Thompson. So next up, Magny-Cours, then Silverstone and Imola. Get your tickets and get them fast. We'll be back. In the meanwhile, from Martin Haven and David Leslie, it's goodbye for now.